What is good, all of our listeners and viewers? Welcome back to another episode of Games and Groceries. My name is Adam.
And I'm Liz.
And if you didn't hear, we're moving to North Dakota. Woo-hoo! We're episode 134, where we're going to be talking about, was Cyberpunk 2077 the worst release ever in existence? But first, we've got some segments for you. Yes, we do. Mm-hmm. All right, we're here.
All right.
Yeah. So, Liz, if you didn't know, we're moving to North Dakota.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. If you didn't know that, come on, listen to our other podcast. Mm-hmm. What's the Biz? It's our other podcast where we just talk about anything. It's just me and Liz, audio only. Mm-hmm. And we just talk really about anything. So,
yep.
Last one we talked about why we're so excited to move cross country. So,
well, it's not across country. It's to the middle of the country.
Well, wouldn't that be cross country? Like we're going across the country.
But when I think of across country, I mean like from one end to the other. We live on one end.
Yeah.
And we're moving to the other end.
Already comes up alone. Cross country. Anyways, but it's time. It's time for a Games and Groceries episode. But yeah, like I said, check out our What's the Biz episode. It's really fun. Just super chill. So check it out for yourself. But yeah, Liz, you doing good?
I'm good. I got a haircut today.
Nice.
And we're getting Chinese food after this.
Yeah.
So it's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
Today's a great day, other than my nose is running.
Oh, and also I worked today.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I skateboarded today, so.
You did, and you love skateboarding.
I do love skateboarding. So let's just get into the show already. Why don't we do that?
Okay.
So just a reminder, you can follow us on social media. You can follow us on Twitter at Game and Groceries, or you can follow us individually. I'm at Ace the Grocer.
And I'm at Journey First.
You can also be friends with us there. Oh, but also be friends with us on Instagram. So Games and Groceries, all one word, on Instagram. You can check out behind the scenes photos, some memes here and there, as well as some questions I will ask you about the show. Mm-hmm. Wow. So on social media answers, when we get to the discussion point, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and we will post the social media questions for you, and you can answer and be part of the discussion here on the Games and Groceries podcast. Other than that, you can join us on the Discord. I will also post the social media answers on there. Discord, it's super fun. Go check it out. Links are in the description down below. Join our Discord. It's fun. I like it. I like it a lot. Mm-hmm. We talk about random things. Yeah. It's great. I have a lot of fun over there.
Yeah.
So, and you can also check out our website, gamesandgroceries.com, where you can listen to all the podcasts from the website, as well as you can find out where you can listen to the audio versions of the podcast, as well as some articles I've written in the past. Mm-hmm. And by the way, if you're a fan of gaming podcasts, if you like our gaming podcast, it's a super fun energy. Fantastic. You should be subscribing to the channel and hit that notification bell so you know when all these episodes come out, because this is a podcast channel. We do have a second channel called eVault where we be posting discussion videos there. So check out that video, but subscribe to the channel if you like gaming podcasts. Okay, enough of that. Stop it. We need to get on with the show. What do you think?
I agree.
All right, so let's go on with it with our first segment.
Movie Minutes.
Movie Minutes is a segment that we talk about the movies that we saw in the past week, whether it be on Netflix, Hulu, or HBO Max, and we like to give you a recommendation or not a recommendation. Here on the Games Groceries podcast, we have a 5-point scale of recommending movies. It goes from avoid at all costs, pass, enjoyable, solid, and perfect for us. So, this week's movie is actually coming from HBO Max. It can be found over there, just recently added. It's a movie that we wanted to see for quite some time.
Yeah.
Came out in 2020. Stars Pete Davidson. It's the King of Staten Island. We went into, what our, 5-point scale is. Mm-hmm. And we both agreed upon this movie.
Yeah.
That it is perfect.
I told you I'm never going to do that.
3, 2, 1. Perfect. What did you give it, Liz?
Perfect.
Yeah, we made it perfect for us.
Yes.
And the reason why we always say for us, one, because it's funnier, and two, it's to really put out there that it's perfect for me and Liz.
Yeah, it's in our opinion, it's perfect. It's a perfect movie.
The way we watch movies, this movie was perfect in that regard. So let's get into the notes here. The King of Staten Island is a film that actually depicts the hopelessness and the loop life of living within Staten Island. That it's a kind of always have, always will be kind of mentality that kind of damages mindsets and breaks apart families, breaks apart connections, and it's a terrible life. But it really depicts in a very accurate way of how life works in Staten Island.
Yeah.
What did you think about that? Like the whole setup of the movie?
I think it was good. It told you, the relations between everyone, why, like what's going on. It just kind of gave like a good overview.
Yeah.
And everything. So I liked it.
Yeah, no, it was, like I said, it really set itself up very well. You got to know each character motivation. You got to know each character's lifestyle and what they try to do, what kind of person they were trying to be. Or even like certain characters, like Pete Davidson's character, you really got to see what was wrong with him.
Yeah.
Mentally, physically, the baseball scene physically. He goes into what Crohn's is at the baseball game. It's absolutely hilarious.
That is funny.
And that goes actually into my second note, is that this movie is a fantastic example of how tragedy can be used for comedic standards.
Yeah.
Where a lot of movies will actually try to avoid tragedy or try to break the ice. There's too much tragic moments, so let's put in a joke here.
Yeah.
It uses tragedy as a comic effect in a way I haven't seen in a lot of movies. Where it doesn't try to make the scene funny. You're just laughing because it's just so tragic.
Yeah. You're laughing because it's so tragic. They kind of use it like it's like dark humor.
It's
like they're making just a bad thing sound funny.
Yeah.
Like, and even just talking about the what was it? Crohn's?
Yeah, Crohn's. Yeah.
Yeah. He's talking about Crohn's. Like he just said what it is, and it was funny. Not great news, but then they just added a little bit of like the one guy saying like next time just say no.
Yeah, just say no.
And it was funny, and they didn't go over like they didn't try and do like, oh, we need a comic relief. It was like, no, this is we can make this sad thing funny.
Yeah. And it did that all throughout the movie, and it worked. By the way, this is also directed and written. It was written also by Pete Davidson, but it was also directed, written, and I believe produced by Judd Apatow, which if you've seen his movies, for me personally, they kind of, hit or miss. This one, for sure, a hit. But if you like Judd Apatow, this is your type of movie. This definitely screams his kind of movie. But yeah, so I think it used tragedy in the best way it possibly could. And it worked. I loved it. I absolutely loved the way it did. Now, my last note here is that this movie is 2 hours and 18 minutes.
Yeah.
And I thought it might be shorter. And that's why I saw it on HBO Max. And I was like, oh, I'll watch it sometime.
Yeah.
Not that it's a long time, but, 2 hours and 18 minutes. Like when you get over the 2 hour mark, you're just saying thing like.
It becomes a commitment.
I will say that it's worth the runtime.
Yeah, a lot of the time when we watch movies that are 2 hours or over, we're usually like, it didn't need to be that long. But it's not even that it needed to be this long. It's just they used that time well.
Yeah.
And like not once did I think like, is it almost over? Like there were times I'm like, oh yeah, we've been watching this a while. Like
yeah.
And I didn't even notice it was 2 hours.
I was gonna say that it felt like it was 5 hours, and not in a bad way where it dragged, but I felt like the story that
you were
told.
Just into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The story it told, it felt like you were being told it for a 5 hour film. And it actually depicted family connections well. To the end, there's two scenes where it tries to make you cry. And not tries to, because it does succeed. And it doesn't do it in a way where it has sad music in like a really empathetic way. There's no music involved. And I'll tell you about it because it is spoiler. But there's two scenes where, it gets emotional, and they don't use tragic music. They don't use dramatic lines. They don't use anything. They just use setup from the previous 2 hours. And you just feel that sort of emotion.
Yeah.
There's 3 actually I can think of now. There's 3 that is just super emotional. When you get to the end of it, it means so much that you start to get emotional just thinking about the journey that this these people have gone on.
Yeah.
So that's why I think we gave it a perfect. We were giving solid at first.
Yeah, but we're like, but we can't find anything wrong with it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a perfect.
I would own this film.
Oh yeah,
I would rewatch
I would
it.
definitely rewatch it.
Yeah. Not safe for kids, by the way. It's definitely a rated R film.
Mm-hmm.
So keep that in mind.
Remember, we watch it on HBO Max.
It's on HBO Max.
They use that title,
Yeah.
well.
So just letting you know if you're like, oh, come on, kids, let's watch King of Staten Island. Don't
do that.
Don't do that. But yeah, I think we are going to give this a perfect for us.
Yes.
And again, just want to say that out loud. It's perfect for me and Liz's tastes. Might not be for you. You might give it, just enjoyable, but for us, it's perfect.
Yep.
So that is The King of Staten Island. You can find it on HBO Max. We definitely recommend this movie. So go check it out for yourself, especially if you like Judd Apatow and Pete Davidson, if you live in Staten Island. Yeah, that's all there is to it.
Yeah.
Let's just jump into it. Let's just jump into the gaming news.
Okay.
Let's do it. Let's go into it with our second segment.
Top 3 Gaming News.
The top 3 gaming news is the gaming news that we saw in the past week. We like to rank it 3, 2, 1, just to give you a condensed version of, hey, what's going on in the gaming industry? What's going on here?
Things.
Hey, business twins.
No.
Hey,
Mm-mm.
what's going on?
No.
Hey.
Bad Adam.
Hey.
Hey.
Oh, okay. Ooh, scary. Jeez. So yeah, the top 3 gaming news. We go over the top 3 gaming news that we saw in the past week, and let's start with our good buddy Gabe Newell. Wow,
Cool.
Look how handsome.
Wow.
So handsome. Isn't he handsome? Tell him he's handsome.
Looks like he could have been handsome in his younger years.
Hey, he's handsome now. So Gabe Newell, who is of course, the founder of Valve. He was an ex Microsoft employee, of course, and now he's gone on to create Steam. We haven't heard from him in a good while about game releases. We've been waiting for Half-Life 3 for about 13 years now. Portal 2. I believe Portal 2 came out in 2011. Am I right? 2012? It was something like that. But we've been waiting constantly for another release from Valve. And it's just so frustrating at this point. It's so frustrating that we're getting a kind of a Left 4 Dead sequel, but it's not really from Valve. It's from Turtleback Studios. So that's great. Turtleback? That doesn't sound right. Anyways.
That sounds right.
Yeah. Turtleback?
I think.
I can't remember now.
Guess we'll
Turtle
find out.
Rock. I think it's Turtle Rock Studios.
Maybe.
Anyways, not the point. But since then, Gabe Newell has released Half-Life Alyx, which was on top of Jake Baldino's top game of 2020. So Jake Baldino recommends it. I don't have a VR system because I suffer from epilepsy. So after that, Gabe Newell actually said, hey, wow, maybe we should be releasing more games. And every PC person said, yes, please.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read this quote from the article, which is all linked down below. All the articles we refer to are linked down below. There we go. So this is from Gabe Newell. So in an interview with One News, Newell talked about how Alyx's release brought new energy to the studio being Valve. Alyx was great. To be back doing single-player games, that created a lot of... Oh my goodness. Created a lot of momentum inside the company to do more of that, Newell said. We definitely have games in development, and we're going to be announcing. It's fun to ship games.
Let me put your phone on silent.
Okay. So.
You just locked it.
So Gabe Newell is saying that, because of Half-Life Alyx, there's new energy. And that's a great thing because, now they're getting I don't want to say the courage back, but they're getting their vibes back.
Yes.
To make these single player games.
Yeah.
And he was even stated that they have multiple single player games in the woodwork.
Yeah.
And the reporter actually went to him and said, "Hey, what's with codename Citadel?" And he just with a stone cold face, poker face, he just said, "We have a lot of code names. Which one is that again?" And I'm just like, "Oh, okay." So
that can be good and bad, though, that they have so many he can't remember. Like, what's going to be the quality they come out if they're working on that many all at once?
Yeah. I don't know. But here's the thing. Gabe Newell, he's a genius.
Mhm.
Always a genius. Always will be. Always. You know why he's a genius? Because he says that he prefers the Xbox Series X over PlayStation
Oh,
5.
goodness gracious.
Genius. All the way.
You wouldn't know the difference as of right now, would you?
Oh, you know what? Anyways, but yeah. So Gabe Newell and Valve have plenty of games in the woodworks. There's plenty of different code names. So we have something to look forward to. Great, cool. On to the next gaming news, which is actually about Steam. Not in the best light, but Steam is actually being sued.
Oh, no.
So there's definitely a lot of different platforms being sued by the EU right now.
Well,
Steam is actually being sued by for $9.5 million US, by the way.
wow.
$9.5 million US dollars. And it doesn't just affect Valve, but it affects Bethesda. Bethesda being ZeniMax. ZeniMax is being sued, which is the owner of Bethesda. But ZeniMax, Bandai Namco, Capcom, Focus Home. I believe those are the only 5 here. And they're being sued over what's called geo-locking, or geo-blocking, I should say, geo-blocking. And what geo-blocking actually is saying that if you live in a certain country, let's say you live in Germany in the EU, right? So you live in Germany and you're trying to buy PC games. Well, let's say Hungary has a better deal for, you're looking up how much it is in the EU, aren't you?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But that's the thing, is that you have a better deal for a PC game in Hungary. So you log on and try to find the game in Hungary servers, and it's like, no. You have to buy it in Germany. And that's geo-locking or geo-blocking. So they're being sued by that, by the EU, by an antitrust company in the EU, and saying like, that goes against our wishes. That's illegal, and you're not allowed to do that. So this is actually coming from the EU right here. This is a statement given by them about the situation. So I will say this as a quote. Today's sanctions against geo-blocking practices of Valve and 5 PC video game publishers serve as a reminder that the EU competition law companies are prohibited from contractually restricting cross-border sales. EU Competitive Commissioner Margaret Vestager, I guess, said in a
I
statement.
have a feeling that's wrong.
Probably is. Such practices deprive European consumers of the benefits of the EU digital single market and of the opportunity to shop around for the most suitable offer in the EU. So, part of my notes here, I just want to say this. The EU does not mess around with screwing around with consumers. We have this case right here. We have this case saying that geo-blocking is illegal. Stop doing that to customers. They can shop wherever they want. Stop it. You know what else they did? The parliaments. Parliament brought together EA and Epic, and that's where we got the granddaddy of all memes, Surprise Mechanics.
Yeah.
That was that case, and that was brought to by the EU. You know what else the EU did? They actually made a law against scalpers from selling PS5s and Xbox Series X's more than market high shares. The EU did that. So that's 3 examples, major examples of why the EU does not mess around when you're trying to mess with consumers. And Steam was saying like, oh no, if you live in Germany, you have to buy the German prices.
Yeah.
Just what's going to happen. And the EU said, no. Stop that. And they slapped them so hard that their hands fell off.
I don't think that's what happened.
Pretty sure that's what happened.
I don't think so.
I was there.
No, you weren't.
I am in the EU.
No, you're not.
You're geo-blocking me right now.
No, I'm not.
What do you think of this?
I mean, I like that the EU is like doing this because it's like that's good for their people. And I agree. I mean, if they all belong under the same whatever.
Yeah.
Like if they all belong under the same tent, then they should be able to shop. That's like saying we have to buy things just with Pennsylvania prices.
Yeah.
We can't buy things in New Jersey prices.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
And so that's stupid.
It is stupid. And so the EU is just cracking down. And I love how you brought up America, because I would love to say that America's, government will be like, oh, well, it's a capitalist society, so
Yeah, America would
Screw
just
you.
be like, that really sucks.
that really sucks, guys.
Good luck with that one.
Well,
Like they probably don't even pay attention to really video game stuff like that.
mm-hmm.
So they probably would have no idea.
Yeah. But so good on you, EU, for protecting the consumer. So let's go on to the final piece of gaming news. I will admit, this actually came to number 1 for me because it's a bias. Okay, sue me. It originally was going to go to Xbox, honorary mention here. Xbox came out and they raised the price of gold.
Yes.
Double the price.
Yeah.
Which actually affects anybody that wants to play free-to-play games. So even Warzone or even Fortnite, you have to have Xbox Live Gold.
Yeah. I did see they made a tweet saying that they'll rethink it.
No, they already rethought it.
Oh, nice.
They said like, "Oh, you don't like us doubling the price? Oh, sorry." They said, "Geez, oh, sorry." And they reversed that and unlocked free-to-play games. So you can play Fortnite now without Xbox Live Gold.
You placed the ope in the right place that time.
Oh, sorry. Jeez.
No, then you did it
Oh,
wrong.
sorry. So yeah, that's the honorary mention. Xbox did an oopsie, and then they said an oopsie again, and they reversed it.
Yeah.
And unlocked free to play. But the number 1 gaming news, I'm sorry, I'm biased here. Vicarious Visions was I'm sorry, guys. It was absorbed into Blizzard. No. Why? Why would they do that?
Why would you put white in the background?
What do you mean?
I don't know.
Vicarious Visions, if you don't know, is, they made a great game called Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, also, they also made another great game called Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2
You clipped.
Remaster, which was my game of the year in 2020. I was so hopeful they would make an underground remaster, but this is just, no.
I love you.
Adam can't have anything nice, ever. So what does this mean?
There.
What does this mean? Well, let's read from the article here. So again, just recapping here, that Vicarious Visions, which was originally a subsidiary of Activision, and Activision, owns Blizzard. Yeah, I think Activision absorbed Blizzard, so now they're Activision Blizzard, not the other way around. But yeah, so now Vicarious Visions, Blizzard saw them, and they just said, you seem like cool people. We'll just absorb you into Blizzard. You won't be Vicarious Visions anymore. All 200 of you are just going to be Blizzard employees. So let me read this quote right here from GamingIndustry.biz. After collaborating with Vicarious Visions for some time and developing a great relationship, Blizzard realized that there was an opportunity for Vicarious Visions to provide long-term support, a representative explained to us. They declined to specify what the team has been working on with Blizzard, or for how long. Why? Is it darker in this room?
No, it's not darker in here.
Oh, okay.
It's because of the white background.
Oh.
You threw off the white balance.
I'm sorry, everybody watching us on video.
That's okay. I can fix it.
Cool. So is that why you said white?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I didn't think about that.
That's okay. It's happened before.
So yeah, super bummer. But yeah, what that means is that all 200 employees are actually absorbed into Blizzard. They will be working on current Blizzard projects. We don't know what other projects that they have, but they said like, oh, Vicarious Visions, you're pretty good. And that means that they will no longer be lead developers on any projects anymore.
But will they continue the projects? That's my question.
Continue projects they were already working on?
Yeah.
Doesn't sound
or
like
is
it.
like Blizzard just like, nope, you're part of us now. Nothing you did matters anymore.
It sounds like what that is.
That's hard. That's so bad.
Yeah, so they won't be doing any of their stuff anymore. They'll only be doing Blizzard stuff now. Yeah,
That's
it's ridiculous.
horrible.
It is. It absolutely is.
That's unfortunate because these people like put so much work and time into like those projects.
Mhm.
And I know like this is just business. You do what you do.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like people like have made these projects and fans have been waiting for these other projects they've been starting to work on.
Yeah.
Which means not only have they wasted their time working on these other projects for a while, but it's just insane.
It's so dumb. Vicarious Visions was such a great studio. And again, I will say this for the top of my lungs here. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 Remastered was my game of the year in 2020, probably my game of the year in a decade. Get off my back.
Jump the gun, babe.
Fine, my game of the year in 2020.
There you go.
And it was a beautiful game. It was a great remaster. The Insane Trilogy. Perfect. Mwah. But yeah, so now they're absorbed into Blizzard. We can lose all hope for an Underground remaster, a Thug remaster, if you will. And yeah, it just sucks for, like you said, it just sucks that all these employees have all this creative vision, Vicarious Vision, and now they're just going to be cogs in the machine of Blizzard.
Yeah.
They're no longer going to be the lead developers anymore.
Yeah.
Which sucks.
Like they basically got demoted at the same time.
Well, yeah, there's some studios where like there's some heads oh no, I can't remember her name, but they're moving up in the company. Like she's moving up to vice president of Blizzard's operations, and the guy below her moved up to hers.
Yeah.
There's some,
but there's also some that probably got demoted.
Yeah. Straight up.
And again, like I said, they've been working on these projects and now they just get scrapped and thrown in the trash because they're not Blizzard.
Yeah. Sucks. I hate it. I hate everything.
I'm sorry, babe. Let's talk about something else.
Yeah. Let's why don't we go into our final segment?
Okay.
Before I talk any more about this. So, we don't have a guest this week.
Nope.
That's only because, we were launching a new channel, eVaults. I will leave a link below to the channel. But we launched our new channel. We filmed the second video for the channel, so we're very excited about that. There was some other personal stuff that we had to go, nothing bad. It's just busy week personally, not just with the channel or anything like that. What I am saying is that there's no guest.
In the end, there's no guest.
So it's just going to be me and Liz. We're going to be talking about Cyberpunk 2077. Was it actually the worst release ever? So let's just get into that discussion here. What do you say? Let's go into it with our final segment.
Coffee time.
Every single week here on the Games Groceries podcast, we like to have a little discussion about the games industry, whether with a guest or just us, about female gamers or even game preservation. We just like to have a sit-down conversation about the video game industry. So thanks for watching along this far. So again, no guest this week. It's just me and Liz, and that's nice.
It is nice.
Takes us back to the old days.
Yeah.
When nobody cared about us.
Much better set.
Much better set, yes. I will agree. So this week, we're actually talking about, was Cyberpunk 2077 the worst game release of all time in gaming history? Because a lot of people are angry about this. A lot of people are just frustrated more than ever before. But we're going to talk about that in just a little bit. So I guess my first question is, why would a conversation come up about this particular game? Why does the conversation come up about Cyberpunk? So what do you think?
I honestly think it has a lot to do with this past year.
Yeah, 2020.
It just came out at the end of 2020. Everyone had a horrible year.
Yes.
It wasn't great. The world was on fire in 2020.
Yeah.
And putting out a game that everyone's anticipated, everyone's pumped for, everyone's excited for. We've been waiting. You've been pushing it off. We've been angry. We've been happy. And you put out something that's freezing, breaking people's systems, and it's like that cherry on top. Like, even though it's not that bad of a thing, it's just that you just broke that last nerve we had.
Yeah.
It was like our final straw of 2020.
Yeah, because it came out December 10th. So it was just right at the cusp of us trying to get out 2020 and just the little cherry on top.
Exactly.
Yeah. I also think it's because it came from almost an untouchable studio, CD Projekt Red.
Yeah.
And there's been reports coming out, not coming out, but they've already come out.
Yeah.
Who do you think wrote these articles? Our good friend, Jason Schreier, who I really wish would come on this podcast sometime. So, Jason.
Maybe one day.
If you're listening, come on. Come on, man. I would love that conversation, honestly. But, yeah, so Jason Schreier has come out and put out an article saying what the actual conditions were in CD Projekt Red. And a lot of the times, the developers would go up to management and say, hey, this game isn't ready. I don't think we're going to be ready in time.
Yeah.
I don't know. And the management just kept talking about CD Projekt magic. And they kept pointing to, well, we made The Witcher 3 work, so this will work.
Yeah.
So even fans thought of CD Projekt Red as an untouchable studio, and even the studio heads themselves thought of themselves as untouchable.
Like they almost got big heads about it.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny because I'm actually reading a book right now by Ryan Holiday. It's called Ego is the Enemy. And it's a very interesting book where Ryan talks about a lot of ego, pride, and not being too much in your head. I just read a chapter where he talked about Benjamin Franklin talking with, I can't remember his name. Mather? I can't remember, but Mr. Mather.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but Mr. Mather, and he's putting on the show and just saying how much he's accomplished. And Mather goes, stoop, like saying, hey, man, bend over. Like, not bend over, but like, hey, watch out.
Wow, Adam.
Jeez, dude. And what Benjamin Franklin did, he actually clocked his head on a low-hanging beam.
Oh, no.
And Mather goes to him and said, this is what happens when you hold your head too high. And I said that in the most pretentious way. Well, this is what happens. But I thought it was a very interesting metaphor.
Yeah.
In the same chapter, he talks about how Genghis Khan once told his sons that even at the highest mountain, there's animals that go on top of the mountain and become higher than the mountain. What I'm trying to say with all this is that CD Projekt Red became too egotistical and too big-headed with its success, saying that we made it, we love everybody here. Come on, it's CD Projekt magic. And they got too big of a head, and this is exactly what happens when your ego goes too high, saying that you made it, But I think that's why this conversation comes up about this game in particular.
Yeah. Because
like what you said, it came out like the worst year possible. The worst.
If it came out in this condition last year, like last December, I think it would have been, it would have stunk. People would have complained, but it wouldn't have been such big news every week.
Exactly. Yeah. No. And like you said, if it came out 2018. I think 2018 will be a worse year for it because you got games like Red Dead Redemption, God of War.
But that's not. Yeah.
But that's what I mean. It would have been just like, oh, well, that game sucks. Put it to the side.
Yeah.
But this was supposed to be this year's Red Dead Redemption 2. Yeah. This was supposed to be this year's God of War, this year's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
This year's big game that stumps all other games. And
horrible. Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah. And
that's my point, is that even if you did enjoy the game, you can't say that this was the ultimate RPG. You can't say this was the ultimate game of this year.
Yeah.
Because that goes to Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 Remaster.
Gracious.
Which came out perfect, by the way. Day of.
Okay.
It did.
Okay.
But now I do want to go on to my second question here. When I talk about this game in particular, when I talk about how this game really disappointed fans, what makes this any different? And I kind of went on to this a little bit. What makes this any different from No Man's Sky, from Fallout 76, from Mass Effect Andromeda, from Watch Dogs, from Avengers? I wrote down here Avengers, Anthem. Well, what makes it so different?
See, that one's a little more complicated for me because I'm not as aware of the other games and their problems, but I know for Cyberpunk, they hyped it up so much. They made it seem like it was a perfect, and it sounded amazing. Like I considered playing this game when I saw the trailer.
For sure.
At
it was 2018.
Yeah, in 2018.
You know what else? I don't think you came up. I don't think you actually saw this. That demo you saw, fake.
Lovely.
It was fake, and it actually took up developer time. And the developer said, because we were taking so much time to make a fake demo, we could have been spending that time to make the game better.
Okay, well, that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, like, they hyped this game up. They made it seem like it was going to be so cool. And it seemed so cool and awesome, and they hyped it up. And then they made us wait because they had to keep pushing it back, and they were always in the news about pushing it back. And so we've all waited, and they keep telling us like how cool it's going to be. Oh, we're taking all this time because it's going to be so awesome.
Yeah.
And then it comes out, and while it works fine on PCs, a lot of people are still playing it on their systems, and their systems can't handle it.
Exactly.
And that, I think, is what makes it different from all these other games, is that, those other games were hyped and came out buggy messes, but they weren't built to overpower their machine.
Anthem was, though, and also Avengers. It actually busted PS4s a lot. I still remember when I talked about Anthem before, where there was an internal rumor before Anthem came out that it was actually breaking PS4s, and they should wait for PS5. And what happened when Anthem came out? It busted PS4s. And that's the thing. Now, I haven't heard any reports that that Cyberpunk is actually bricking systems. It's just crashing systems.
Yeah, it's like the game just shuts down.
It just shuts down on them, and that's it. And that's the thing. I think what makes this different, I think what makes this game in particular different is what I was talking about before. It wasn't supposed to be just this game's Game of the Year, but they were hyping up to the point where this was going to be changing the way RPGs were made.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think it goes back into where I was saying my first point with CD Projekt Red making The Witcher 3, right? CD Projekt Red making The Witcher 3, I think there was just so hype and so egotistical is because after Witcher 3 came out in 2015, a lot of RPGs started to copy The Witcher 3. It started to define the way RPGs were soon to be made. Much like when Skyrim came out. Skyrim came out 2011, and a lot of companies started to say like, oh, we should make RPGs like that. Same thing for 2015 with The Witcher 3. They started to say that this is the way we define RPGs.
Yeah.
Now, going into that, I think they kind of had that in their head saying, oh, we actually are the path givers or trailblazers, I should say. The trailblazers for what RPGs should be. And so they started to think about that. And even the fans themselves, they said, well, this is the follow-up to The Witcher 3. They're going to be defining how RPGs are made, by, adjusting your genitals in the game, which actually is something you could do, which is why? Why'd you take time to do that? It's so dumb.
Who knows?
It's just so unnecessary. It's so dumb. But that's the thing, is that I think the difference between all of these other games and Cyberpunk, it was supposed to be the generation definer.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be The Last of Us. It was supposed to be, it was supposed to be the Halo, right? It was supposed to be the generational definition of what this can do for RPGs. Now, in terms of what is the actual difference, I don't think there is. I think there's actually...
I think the difference is the year it came out.
Yeah. I think there's actually one singular similarity between all these games and Cyberpunk, is that Cyberpunk had poor management. It had poor management involved, and that was the exact... reading the story that Jason Schreier... I almost said Jason Statham...
That's random.
Yeah, I know, Jason Statham, the action star. But I think the difference between that and, Cyberpunk, CD Projekt Red, and as well as BioWare with Anthem, there was a similarity. They hyped up the game for so long, but production didn't go in until 2 years, before release. Same thing happened with Cyberpunk. Yeah. In Jason Schreier's article, they actually hyped it up in 2012, 2011, 2012. I think it was 2012, if I'm correct. But they hyped it up in 2012, and they actually did not go into full production until 2016. And by full production, meaning concept art and all that and assets, but it didn't go into full-on production until 2018, meaning a game this ambitious and this hyped up only went to development 2 years ago. Think about that. 2 years ago.
Well, no wonder why they had to push it back so much.
Yeah, exactly, because they couldn't do it.
Because they weren't prepared.
They were not prepared. It was all mismanagement. It was all poor timing. And even the part of co-founder. Thank you, Brain. The co-founder of CD Projekt Red came out. Markin. I think it was Markin. I can't remember how to pronounce his name. Oh well, but Marcy. I don't know. But that guy, he came out as an apology saying like, hey, sorry, this is my bad. This is the board of directors bad. Sorry. Like, we made the call. And it's like, yeah, you made the call. Like,
it's your fault. This is your company.
And it had everything to do with the poor management, poor time management involved. And that's what the similarities are. Is poor time management. Same thing happened with Anthem. Same thing happened with Andromeda. Same thing happened probably with Avengers. I don't think that actually came out. But the difference, though, with Fallout 76, though, and I want to point this out, the difference between Fallout 76 was that Bethesda Game Studios in Maryland trusted the newly bought Bethesda Austin, which made another multiplayer game that failed, Battlecry.
Yeah.
And when Battlecry Studios fell, Bethesda bought them up and said, "Hey, make us a multiplayer game."
Yeah.
What?
Why?
They were the lead developers. That was that was also poor management, but
in a whole other level.
My point is that the management involved was poor. Even talking about the worst games of all time to be put under the rug. When we talk about the game E.T., I believe Howard Scott Warshaw made E.T. I want to say 3 weeks.
Wow.
It was a really, 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 really short time.
Yeah.
The hype for the movie came out, and this was right before the video game crash, and it was not E.T.'s fault, by the way. Learning game history, by the way. It was not E.T.'s fault. In fact, Howard Scott Warshaw is always so proud of E.T. He's so proud of it. And because he said it's the greatest game to ever release that was made in 3 weeks. Was it 3 weeks or 3 months? It was a very, very short time.
Sounds more.
I want to say it was 3 months. I wish I had my book in front of me. The book written by, what was his name? Oh, yeah, Patrick Hickey Jr., the mind behind the game developers. Buy the book, by the way. Also, Howard Scott Warshaw wrote a book about it. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So, very interesting reads, by the way.
Do your reading.
Stay
in school.
Stay in school.
Except college.
Read video game books.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is that's, it's all poor time management. Now, my point before we go into social media answers. Yeah, we got time for this. Do we? Yeah. This had all to do with poor management, and they're always getting called out for it.
Yeah.
Now, my question with all of this is that with Jason Schreier doing his work and calling out BioWare, calling out CD Projekt Red, calling out so many studios with poor management, Howard Scott Warshaw calling out the games industry and saying like, hey, listen, this is poor management. Do we think this is going to change ever out of all of this?
That's such a tough question because we were talking last week with Travis how like you really can't predict the future of games.
Yeah.
You can't predict the future of anything just because technology is always changing and everything. But even just taking that on a human level, you never know what we're going to do next.
Yeah.
So you really never know until you get there because I mean, I think it's possible because our generation is very serious about work life.
Yeah.
And so I think at one point in the future, we might get to a point where they'll be managed better and have a better work-life balance. So I think it's possible. I think what needs to happen, though, is that video game consumers need to grow patience at the same time. Because if they're going to be, if developers are going to be managed better, that means games might come out slower, which means gamers might need to grow a little bit more patience for games to come out. Because that's part of the problem, is that the owners of these companies know that people want the games and they want them now. And so they rush the developers. And when the game is rushed to be made, there's going to be a lot of mistakes made. And a lot of things rushed and looked over. And that's why we get these games and then we all get angry. So I think a couple things need to happen, but I think it's possible, not in the immediate or near future, but sometime in the future. I think it's possible.
I think so. I think now with all of these veteran of the veterans of the games industry leaving companies to start their own indie game studios. We talked about that on another episode. Does game industry need a reset? You should check that episode out. There's a lot of game developers going to indie because they can't stand poor management.
Yeah.
In fact, most recently, we've learned that Mark Dara and Casey Hudson left BioWare.
Yeah.
And that they didn't start their own gaming industry studio yet that we know of. But, even Ken Levine left and he started his own studio. So we're still looking for that one.
Yeah.
But I think it will only change when game developers leave their companies and start their own studios and make their own management decisions. I think it had a lot to do with Howard Scott Warshaw, where he, crashed the game industry, and he's so proud of that because he had to, show people that, like, listen, chugging out games, boom, boom, boom. Like, that's not the way the game industry should be doing things. And when we're talking about, was Cyberpunk 2077 the worst game to ever release? I don't think it was.
I don't think so.
I don't think so it was, because it was just another piece of the puzzle that we have to look at in poor management.
Yeah.
And no one's escaping from it.
I think we were all just very worked up from 2020, and that was just the last thing anyone needed.
So I actually want to go into our middling section here.
Middling?
It's a little section that we call social media answers.
Did you really expect me to say that with you?
No.
Oh, good. You looked at me like you wanted me to say it with you. I'm like, that's not happening.
Mail time. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you're singing a song in your heart, aren't you?
Mail.
Jeez. So I ask you on social media, at Twitter, at Gaming Groceries, at Instagram, or on Facebook, or even on Discord. And we'll get into that in a bit. And we'd like to ask you a certain question about the topic, and we wanted to get you involved in the discussion. So on social media, I said, do you think Cyberpunk 2077 was the worst release in games history? I want to hear from you guys. So we have here from GameSimp, at GameSimpYT. Thanks for listening on. Super cool dude. So I want to read from him. And he says, in terms of expectations versus what was delivered, absolutely. We'll get into it in a little bit. At least in modern gaming history. That's a good point. Even games that launched in a similar state, Andromeda, 76, Anthem, didn't have the expectation of quality that Cyberpunk did. I have to agree with Gaming Simp there.
Yeah, definitely.
And I talked about that before, where it was talking about the expectation that this was going to change the way games were made.
Yeah.
And it just completely backfired, and it just became an okay game.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all it was. It was just your average. I liked Maddie's review of it, that he enjoyed his time with it, but he ended up just saying, like, yeah, it's just it's just your normal game.
Yeah.
But expectation versus reality.
Absolutely.
What do you think about Gaming Sim?
No,
Game Simp, I should say. Yeah.
I completely agree with I agree with everything he said.
Yeah. That I think the difference there was, 76, we were kind of hyped for it in a way of like, oh wow, an online Fallout.
And
cool.
Not only that, but with 76, there were stories of it being buggy before it came out.
Yes.
Like, so we all kind of had that, like, prior knowledge to calm down and not put so much on that game. So we all kind of knew to, like, not expect too much. Whereas Cyberpunk, we didn't know anything beforehand.
Yeah.
There was no forewarning that it might come out a little buggy, a little crazy. And 76 also did not, like, shock your system.
Yeah.
So, there's that.
That's the thing, is that the game might have broken, but I think it was just, like he said, I think the expectation was it was supposed to be a game changer.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas the other games that we talked about, Anthem, Avengers, we were more the expecting of the potential of those games.
Yeah.
We were expecting, like, oh wow, Andromeda, another Mass Effect. Awesome. Oh wow, Fallout 76, an online Fallout, cool. But Cyberpunk 2077 was going to be like, oh wow, a new change in RPG genres. So I agree with you, GameSim. Good comments. Then we have the answers on Discord.
Woohoo.
Link to the Discord is below. Join up. We have great conversations over there. We got Absolute Prodigy. We got Commander Nikki. We got Andrew Orsi. We got all the good people over there.
Mm-hmm.
We got Twofer there. So it's a great time. Also,
We
Quantum
also
Ginger.
get some news before everyone else. So
Yeah, true.
There's that.
So I ask you guys on Discord, do you think Cyberpunk 2077 was the worst release in game history? So we have 3 answers there. Oh, by the way, y'all had a conversation, so I'm not reading your conversation. I'm just reading.
that would take a while.
Yeah, so I'm just reading the first comments that I see from what you guys originally said.
Yeah.
So Absolute Prodigy says, nah, which I agree with. Nah, there will always be a generational game that releases badly, and everyone talks about it, and then moves on. He gives Red Dead Redemption 2 had a bad initial release, which I do remember that.
Mhm.
Syndicate, Watch Dogs 2. I loved Watch Dogs 2, but yeah, it was a buggy mess when it first came out. Fallout 76. The only thing here, which is more insightful, is that the fact that the game's developers and the managers had a disconnect for the game timing release.
Mhm.
So again, poor management.
Yeah, exactly.
So I do agree with that there's always that generational game that comes out in a buggy mess,
Mhm.
and then we just we cry about it, and then we move on.
Yeah.
I always agree with that. What do you think?
No, I completely agree with that, generational one, and that it was just poor management.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I do remember Red Dead Redemption 2 especially had a buggy release.
I don't remember that, but I didn't pay that much attention.
Yeah. It was still enjoyable. It's still
Yeah.
playable, but there was definitely some bugs in there.
Yeah.
Now going on to Commander Nikki, well, at least it didn't have to be buried in a desert going off of
Yes.
ET. But again, definitely pick up Howard Scott Warshaw's new book. He talks about his time in the game industry
Yeah.
and how he destroyed it, but in a good way. But she says, but yeah, it was definitely pretty bad. Too much hype, too much crunch, all kind of issues with the game's content, bugs, not playable on old gen, but definitely not the worst ever.
Yeah.
And I agree with that too. It had a lot of issues going into it. And again, she goes into a lot of hype and a lot of crunch.
They put way too much hype into something that they did not have time to produce.
Exactly. It wasn't playable on old generation consoles. It was playable on PC.
Yeah.
And he did say that he wanted to be magnificent on PC. But then,
now
consoles
it's
got
only
screwed.
magnificent on PC.
Exactly. But definitely not the worst ever. And I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then finally we have from One Up Tempo, Andrew Orsi,
Mm-hmm.
who says, no, he didn't say that. He said, I stopped paying much attention to the news about it after I heard enough about everyone screaming, and I knew I wasn't buying it, or at least just yet. Worst ever? Bold phrase. Don't know if I totally go that far. Absolute trash mess garbage fire release. They gave out refunds on digital copies if that doesn't speak for itself. So yeah, I like what he says here, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I heard everybody screaming about it, I knew I wasn't buying it.
Yeah.
At least not yet.
Yeah.
That's the thing. This takes me back to when the first Division. When the
Yeah.
Division first came out, I bought it very, very post-release.
Mm-hmm.
I believe I bought it a year after release,
Mm-hmm.
and I loved it. I had a great time with the game.
Yeah.
It was my absolute favorite game. And I played with my boy Frank. It was a good time. But I played it way post-release.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about Cyberpunk 2077. There's some good concept there,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody's screaming like, "Oh, this is a really buggy release. I freaking hate this."
Yeah.
But anybody that buys this a year from now,
Yeah.
they're going to be like, "Oh, this is the greatest game ever.
Yeah.
Love it."
Exactly.
No Man's Sky, especially.
Mm-hmm.
Worst release ever. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
A couple of years later, I'm having a great time with it.
That's the perk of gaming in the modern day.
Yes.
Is that a game can release not amazing,
Mhm.
and they can take the next year or two and make it amazing. They can fix it.
Yeah.
If in a few years something pops up and there's a bug, they're like, all right, let us fix that. Update, bam, done.
Yeah.
That's a very big perk of gaming in the modern day. When we were younger, that wasn't a thing. Yeah, it couldn't happen.
Exactly.
Like, you got it as is. That was it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I don't think it was actually the worst release ever when we're talking about this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that Cyberpunk 2077 was absolutely the most devastating thing we've ever suffered through.
No.
If we're talking about modern gaming, I do agree with GameSimp that I think the expectation versus what we got was the worst.
Oh, yeah.
But I think, in my strong opinion here,
Yeah.
when we're talking about this current generation, I think the worst release probably was Anthem, to be quite honest with you, because Anthem had no content. It was completely abandoned. It
Yeah.
actually crushed PS4s.
Yeah.
There was nothing in the trailers that was actually truthful.
Yeah.
And like they actually made a trailer for Anthem 2 years before the game was releasing, and the developers saw that and they're like, oh, that's what we're making.
Yeah.
So at
Yeah,
least
I remember
developers knew Cyberpunk. They knew
Yeah.
the concept there. Anthem's developers had no idea.
that. Yeah.
If we're talking about the worst game to release in this current generation, I'm going Anthem, to be quite
Yeah.
honest with you. If we're comparing it. Now, I do, again, going back to GameSimp, I do agree that in terms of expectation, hype,
Yeah.
things that we were expecting this to do for
in
gaming,
comparison to what we got.
I think in that sort of light, I think, it probably was. But my final point, as we're going into closing thoughts here, and as I say, we're doing closing thoughts because I'm super hungry,
Yeah.
and we're gonna get Chinese food after this.
Yeah.
So, my final point is saying this, asking the question: when we always say that we feel lied to, where we got this game and we were lied to, it was all just a sham. Oh, this was the worst release ever. And everybody gets so worked up. And like Andrew Orsi said, people start screaming about it. Go, worst release ever. I'm pooping my pants as I'm
What?
screaming. What?
You're wrong.
My question is,
Mm-hmm.
should we be taking game releases so personally?
Mm.
Should we actually poop our pantses
Oh,
for game releases?
You're
You're
right.
right. No, we should not
there's
poop
so
our
much wrong
pantses.
with you.
What do you think? Why do people take it so personally, and should we be taking it so personally?
I think it's so hard to think about because you also have to think like on the other end,
Mhm.
people outside the gaming community, they take it personally when a celebrity does something wrong.
Yes.
Like they're supposed to be better than a regular human.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's kind of how gamers look at gaming companies. It's like, we're fans and you should be treating us with respect.
Yes.
And so when a game comes out all buggy and crazy, they feel disrespected in some way. Like,
Yeah.
I'm giving you money
Mm-hmm.
and you're not giving me what I'm paying for.
Fair.
And I think that's why gamers can get very bent out of shape
Yes.
over a game releasing buggy and crazy and things like that.
Yeah.
So,
And I do agree to your point where it's the money that you raised up. It's the money that you worked hard for.
yeah,
And it's the money that you put down for the expectation that you're getting,
this awesome game.
exactly.
Yeah.
And a lot of people might say like, well, what are you expecting? We're expecting a value of $60.
Yeah.
That's what we're
Exactly.
expecting. And when people will start to say, people like myself who say that just wait till it's on sale, what? Here's my thing on that to myself. Why should we be waiting for a game to have the $60 value?
Mm-hmm.
Why can't games just come out at least at the $60 value?
Yeah.
They might not come out on the value of a season pass, like the gold edition for $120. Sure. But we're putting down our money for the expectation that it's worth soon to be the $70.
Yeah.
And I think that's why people take it so personally,
Mm-hmm.
because it's the money they worked hard for,
Yeah.
or the monies that their parents worked hard for,
Depending on your age, yes.
depending on your age. And it's money that you personally put on
Yeah.
as an investment.
It's money that you could have spent elsewhere, but you chose to spend it on this promise from a company.
Exactly. And because they promised you that this is where your $60 should go,
Exactly.
and it doesn't go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that investment that you put in to, I don't know, Pepsi, and Pepsi just starts to die because Coca-Cola is better. I don't know. But yeah, I think it's that kind of personal. Now, in terms of should we be taking it personally? No.
No.
Absolutely
it's just a
not.
game.
It's just a game that you chose to buy.
Yeah.
And at this point, we should all have the expectation that a game is going to come out buggy.
Mm-hmm.
That we should wait for a release, or at least watch your favorite reviewer.
Yeah.
Watch your favorite reviewer and saying that, like, should you buy this game?
Mm-hmm.
I know ones, you can think of is, of course, ACG. Mr. Matty Plays. A lot of you came over from Mr. Matty Plays. He was on the podcast before, so thanks again for coming on. Those are two of my favorites. I do enjoy some IGN. They give me like a rough idea, like, okay. Like, I go to there first, and then I go to ACG, and then I go to Mr. Matty Plays. And yeah, just trust your favorite reviewer there. Mm-hmm. Favorite reviewer or reviewers.
Yeah.
See if you're going to play the game, and then go from there.
Yeah.
Because it's their job to buy these games.
Exactly.
It's their job. It's it's a tax write-off. It is not your tax write-off. So I think my closing thought here is that no, don't take this so personally. Don't say to yourself that like you were lied to, you were robbed, blah 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 blah. It sucks.
Mm-hmm.
But don't take it so personally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, you can finish your closing thought.
I was just going to say that Cyberpunk was a very poor release, but I think it came as a lesson to CD Projekt Red.
Yeah.
Like I said, ego is the enemy. It came to them in this sort of fashion, that ego was the enemy to CD Projekt Red, and I think they humbled themselves over this with all 13 million copies that they sold.
Yes.
Your closing thoughts.
I was just going to say that also with not taking a game so personally.
Yes.
Is that, again, like I mentioned earlier, we're gaming in the modern day.
Yes.
They're not going to charge you for an update.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to update it, and it'll be fixed eventually.
Yes.
And your $60 will be worth it at one point.
Eventually.
Yes. Mm-hmm. You might not get the perfect game right away.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like I said, they're not going to charge you to fix it.
Yeah.
They're going to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
If they're smart.
If they're smart.
If they're smart, they'll fix it. I'm sorry if they don't and I just lied. But in general, most of the companies will fix the problems with the game, and it'll eventually make that $60 worth it at one point.
So I think those are our thoughts about Cyberpunk. So what are your thoughts? Write your thoughts in the comments down below about Cyberpunk. What other thoughts would you have if you were on this podcast, just talking about Cyberpunk being the worst game release ever? You probably go, bah, 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 I hated it, and I pooped my pants when it came out.
Stop it.
Did you poop your pants on the release?
Let's stop.
Write your thoughts in the comments.
Cut you out of this.
So, I think we can end it here.
I think so.
So, before let's roll out the red carpet for our guests. What do you think? Pineapple? No? Nothing to plug? Well, we have things to plug. So we're going to roll out the red carpet to us.
Woohoo! That never happens.
I know.
Great. I mean, it's our podcast, but, whatever.
So as we end this podcast, we just want to remind all of you that we're on the social medias at Twitter, Gaming Groceries, Instagram, Games Groceries.
The things.
Discord. Join the Discord.
Yeah.
Get in there. Join us with some great conversations about skateboarding and Absolute Prodigy. He shows his bake-offs.
Yes.
He shows how he's baking his cookies.
Yeah.
It's very nice.
And
it's very wholesome.
I shared a picture of Floki.
You shared a picture of Floki. It's a very good time.
Yes.
It's a very nice time.
It's wonderful. And memes.
And memes.
I don't make them because I don't understand how to make them, but
there's a whole memes page.
There's a whole memes page, and it's quite entertaining.
Yeah. And also check out, What's the Biz? It's our other podcast. It's a great podcast, just me and Liz, where we just talk about really just anything. So if you enjoyed, this kind of conversation, check out What's the Biz?
Yeah.
And we also started our second channel, eVault, with our first video. Your game is not an RPG. Let me explain. And it's a good first entry.
Yeah.
But let me tell you something. We filmed the second episode, and we're very, very excited.
So pumped.
We're very excited for this one.
Yeah.
It's completely ridiculous, and it's about stealth games.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for this video to come out.
The video itself is not ridiculous.
No, I'm just saying that,
but it's fun. It'll be fun. Don't worry.
It's great. We're very excited to release that. That's going to come out in the next few weeks, probably.
Yeah.
But the plan for eVault is just to film it, and we'll release it when we feel like the video is finished. And we'll start with the video after that.
Yes.
So Yeah, so definitely subscribe to eVault for more updates on that.
Mm-hmm.
And let's get out of here. Let's eat some Chinese food.
Let's go get dinner.
So we thank you for watching this week's Games and Groceries podcast. We just had a good time with you today.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for coming on. You were so fabulous. Thanks for listening to us ramble.
Yeah.
And we just we're very thankful for you. And if you haven't yet, if you are watching this and you haven't clicked subscribe yet, well, go ahead and do that right now. Whether you're listening on iTunes or watching us on YouTube, click that subscribe button so you know when all these podcasts come out.
Mm-hmm.
And with all that said and done, join us for the next one. We'll have a guest for that one.
Mm-hmm.
And wear your mask. We'll see you next week.
Bye.